All right, let's get into it. Today, we are talking about something called hoovering. It's this really powerful tactic that can keep you stuck in a toxic relationship cycle long after you thought it was over. We're going to dive into what it is, exactly why it works so well, and most importantly, how you can finally break free. So, have you ever been there? I mean, you've done the hard part, you made the break. You're actually starting to feel a little better, starting to heal, and then bam, a text message, a phone call, maybe a so called random run in, and it just pulls you right back in. It is so disorienting, and it's almost always painful. And you know what? There's actually a name for it. Yep, it's called hoovering, and it's named after the vacuum cleaner for a reason, because that is exactly what it feels like. You're being sucked back into the drama. And let's be super clear, this is not a genuine change of heart. As you're about to see, this is a very specific tactic. Think of it like love bombing part 2, and it's all designed to pull you right back into that unhealthy dynamic. Okay, so first things first, we have to understand what this is, because recognizing hoovering for what it truly is, a tactic, not some grand romantic gesture, that is the absolute first step toward protecting yourself. So here is the most crucial part to get. For a manipulative or narcissistic person, hoovering isn't really about you. It's not about how much they miss you or how great you were together. It's more like a fishing expedition. It is all about control. It's about them asking themselves, do I still have the power to reel this person back in? It's about winning the game, not fixing the relationship. Now, if you have been on the receiving end of a hoover attempt, you know it can be just incredibly effective. So why? Why do we get pulled back in, even when our logical brain is screaming no? Let's break down the psychology behind it. Look, this tactic works so well because it preys on our most basic human emotions. That sudden attention can feel like a dream come true, especially after the chaos of the breakup. It feeds that little voice in your head that whispers, maybe they finally changed. You combine that with the very real loneliness you feel, plus this thing called euphoric recall, where your brain just magically forgets all the horrible stuff and only remembers the good times. Well, that's a potent cocktail that makes going back seem almost like a good idea. And the desire for closure, oh, that is such a powerful trap. You think to yourself, okay, this time they'll finally listen. This time they'll understand. But trying to get closure from the very person who caused all the pain, it almost never works. You are way more likely to get hit with more gaslighting or some manipulative line like, come on, baby, let's not bring up the past. Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Let's move on to the how. Knowing what hoovering actually looks like out in the wild, that is your best defense. And it can show up in so many ways. It might be a simple thinking of you text that has this huge shock value. Or, that coincidental run-in at your favorite coffee shop that just feels a little off. They might use shared kids as an excuse to talk more, or they'll suddenly pop up when they hear you got a big promotion or that you lost a loved one. Each and every one of these is a calculated move, and it's designed to find a tiny crack in your resolve. And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures the darker side of hoovering. See, it often happens at the exact moment you're starting to get stronger, when you're starting to heal. Your success, your happiness, it becomes a new target for them. They just can't stand watching you do well without them, so they try to pull you back down. It's literally an attempt to tie sandbags to your rising balloon. All right, this is the most important part. We've defined the problem, we've looked at why it happens, now let's build the solution. Here are 10 real, actionable steps you can take to make yourself hoover-proof and get your peace back. But first, and this is so important, let's get one thing straight. There is zero, absolutely zero, shame in being hoovered. It doesn't make you weak, it doesn't mean you failed, it is a completely normal part of healing from one of these trauma-bonded relationships. In fact, every single time it happens, it's a chance to learn, to get stronger, and to really solidify your decision. So let's walk through the first 5. Steps 1 and 2, these are all about your mindset. You gotta know what it is, and you gotta be aware that your own healing can actually trigger an attempt. Then 3 and 4 are about building walls, practical stuff. Clean up social media, block them, and tell your mutual friends, politely, that you don't want any updates. And step 5, that's your lifeline. The second you're tempted to reply, you call a friend instead. Get that reality check. Okay, moving on. Step 6 is your secret weapon, your ick list. Literally, a written list of all the reasons you left. Read it. Step 7 and 8 are more practical blockades. Change their name in your phone to something that reminds you not to answer, and just stop picking up unknown numbers. And finally, 9 and 10. This is the long game. If you do slip up, don't hide it. Tell someone. Secrecy is what gives this whole thing its power. And most importantly, learn from it. See the attempt with your now wiser eyes and let it reinforce why you're staying away. And I am being completely serious about this. It might feel a little silly, but trust me, when that text message notification pops up and what you see is "do not respond to this fool" with a couple of choice emojis, it is a powerful, right in the moment gut check. It can be the exact jolt you need to just put the phone down and walk away. When it all comes down to it, this is the core idea. You can't always control their attempts to get back in touch. You just can't. But what you can control is how you see them. Awareness is your superpower here. Keeping your eyes wide open to the tactic, to the manipulation, to the whole predictable pattern, that is your greatest defense. All right, I want to leave you with one final and kind of counterintuitive idea. What if getting hoovered could actually be the very thing that makes you immune to it for the rest of your life? I mean, really think about that. Sometimes getting pulled back in just one last time and seeing with your own wiser eyes that absolutely nothing has changed, that can be the most powerful lesson of all. It's like the final exam. After you see this cycle play out again, but this time with full awareness, you might just find yourself saying, "Oh, I see it perfectly now, and I am never ever doing this again." That experience can be your graduation. So, as we wrap this up, I'm going to leave you with this question. Whether it's finally blocking that number or sitting down to write your ick list or just sending a quick text to a supportive friend, what is one concrete thing you can do today, right now, to start building your defenses and protecting your hard-won peace?